There's a kind of person who walks through this world feeling everything. Not because they're fragile, but because they're tuned into a deeper frequency. They sense the unsaid, feel the tension before it's named. They absorb pain that isn't theirs, and they often carry a weight that even they can't fully explain. This isn't just emotional sensitivity, it's spiritual perception. A form of inner knowing that doesn't shout, it vibrates quietly, clearly. And if this feels familiar, you're not imagining it. You're one of the spiritually gifted. But here's the truth. This gift is sacred, but it's also sharp. It opens doors others can't see, and wounds you didn't create. Some people will sense your light and back away, feeling exposed. Others will draw close, not for connection, but for comfort, taking your energy without even knowing it. Carl Jung once said that the most sensitive individuals are often the first to carry what the collective psyche has yet to process. And that's exactly what makes your experience both powerful and perilous. You don't just feel deeper, you feel sooner. Before words, before events, before the world is ready. That's why understanding your sensitivity isn't a luxury, it's survival. If you don't name the gift, the world will treat it like a flaw. You'll burn out trying to shrink yourself into spaces that don't fit your soul's frequency. But once you do understand, everything shifts. You stop absorbing everything. You start choosing what nourishes, what drains, what must go. So in this video, I'm going to share 13 things only spiritually gifted people experience. These aren't just signs, they're a map to your boundaries, your calling, and your becoming. Watch until the end, because once you recognize these truths, you'll realize your sensitivity was never the problem. It was your invitation to awaken. The first thing spiritually gifted people experience is environmental sensitivity. You don't just enter a room, you feel it. Before anyone speaks, your body already knows. Some places drain you, others energize you. And then there are those spaces that instantly make you uneasy. Like your soul whispers, you shouldn't be here. It's not drama, it's intuition. Your energy field scans the atmosphere before your mind catches up. Spiritually sensitive people absorb the emotional residue that lingers, what Carl Jung called traces of the collective unconscious. Conversations leave echoes, people leave imprints, and you feel all of it. You might try to brush it off, to be rational, but deep down, you know, this isn't imagination. You're reading the field, and that's one of the earliest signs your spiritual sensitivity runs far deeper than most realize. Number 2 is, your body speaks before your mind understands. A sudden chill, a knot in your stomach, a heaviness in your chest in a room where everything seems fine. These aren't coincidences, they're messages. Your body is picking up on energies your brain hasn't processed yet. It's scanning the unseen, translating shifts into symptoms, tight shoulders, nausea, unease. Carl Jung believed the body is an extension of the unconscious, a messenger for what the psyche knows but can't yet say. And if you're spiritually sensitive, this becomes your language. Your body warns you, hesitates, rejects situations before you know why. And still, you doubt yourself. You wonder if you're being too sensitive. But then comes the pattern. Every time you ignored that signal, you paid for it. Because your soul is speaking through muscle, breath, skin. And when you finally start listening, everything changes. You stop second-guessing. You start protecting your energy. And you move through the world not just intuitively, but with precision. The third thing spiritually gifted people experience is a quiet recognition from children, animals, and the elderly. It's not about words, it's presence. You don't try to connect. It just happens. A child stares, studying you like they already know you. A dog settles at your feet. A cat curls into your lap. An elder strikes up a deep conversation unprovoked. You've seen it your whole life. These beings, still close to instinct, still open, sense coherence. The match between your inner truth and outer presence. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a realm of symbols and emotional memory shared by all. Children and animals naturally access it. Elders return to it. And when you vibrate in that space, they know. They don't respond to who you pretend to be. They respond to who you are. This isn't just intuition, it's neuroaffective resonance, a science-backed sensitivity to emotional congruence, muscle tone, breath rhythm. Temple Grandin calls it raw emotional perception. Alison Gopnik calls it expanded attention. But you don't need the labels. You've felt it, the way you're seen by those who still feel. It's not coincidence. It's coherence, sensed by the heart, not the head. Number 4 is absorbing emotions that aren't theirs. You're fine, then suddenly you're not. A sadness creeps in, or irritation rises for no clear reason. You walked past someone, entered a room, heard a word, and something shifted. Spiritually sensitive people feel this often. You leave interactions drained, your body heavy, your mind tangled. Because you're not just noticing emotions, you're carrying them. Psychology calls this emotional empathy. Some nervous systems are simply more open. They register the hidden sorrow behind a smile, the tension beneath calm words. Judith Orloff calls it internalizing, not just sensing. Jung called it contact with the collective unconscious, feeling what others repress. You question yourself. You wonder if you're too sensitive. But you're not fragile. You're exposed. And that's not weakness. That's your gift. Number 5 is waking up between 3 and 4 a.m. Again and again. No alarm, no noise, just a strange inner clarity. You're not anxious. You're not restless. You're aware. And it happens so often, it stops feeling random. This hour is more than coincidence. Neuroscience calls it the hypnagogic state, a liminal zone between dreaming and waking, where intuition speaks loudest. Mystics call it the spiritual watch. Jung called it a portal, where ego softens and the deeper self rises. You may sense a presence, receive a message, or simply feel something is asking you to listen. This isn't insomnia. It's invitation. The world sleeps, but your soul is wide awake. Number 6 is dreaming in ways that feel more real than waking life. Vivid, prophetic, recurring. You feel these dreams in your body. You wake up with words, sensations, or symbols that cling to your soul. Sometimes, what you dreamed happens days later. Sometimes, a stranger in your dream feels like someone you've always known. And sometimes, the same dream returns again and again because it's trying to tell you something. Spiritually gifted people don't treat dreams as noise. They recognize them as language. Carl Jung believed dreams were how the unconscious speaks, through symbols, not logic. Each image, each place, each emotion is a message from the self. Modern research backs this. In REM sleep, your brain processes emotions and symbolic memory at full intensity. And if you're spiritually sensitive, you don't just dream, you receive. You might have been taught to ignore it, but if you look closer, you'll realize some dreams gave you truth before life ever did. Number 7, a lifelong sense of a greater purpose. Spiritually gifted people often carry a quiet but constant feeling. I'm here for something more. Even if they can't name it, it's there, an existential itch, not driven by logic or ambition, but by soul. They try to live normally, study, work, follow the path, but it feels hollow. What excites others leaves them empty, because something within hasn't been activated. Carl Jung called this the call of the self, when the ego fades and the deeper self begins to emerge. It feels like confusion, loss of direction, even collapse. But that unraveling is the beginning of awakening, a breaking down of surface identity so your true path can rise. If you're feeling restless, disconnected from routine, and pulled towards something deeper, you're not broken. You're being called, and your real journey may just be beginning. Number 8. Exhaustion around the superficial. Spiritually gifted people feel drained by fake spaces. Small talk, forced smiles, and shallow interactions exhaust them. It's not social anxiety, it's energetic dissonance. You feel what people don't say. You pick up on masked pain, false cheer, hidden agendas. Your body knows when the energy doesn't match the words. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear in society. But spiritually sensitive people struggle to wear it for long. Pretending feels like betrayal. It disconnects you from yourself. Today's world makes this worse. Social media has turned real connection into performance, spirituality into aesthetics, emotion into engagement. You scroll through feeds and feel tired, not inspired, because you read the vibe, not the caption. You don't want to be seen, you want to be felt. And that rejection of the fake, that longing for soul-deep connection, that's not dysfunction. It's spiritual clarity. Number 9 is feeling out of place, even around good people. This might be one of the hardest feelings to explain. You're in a calm environment with people you care about. Nothing is wrong. And yet something inside you doesn't feel present. Your body's there, but your soul isn't. This disconnection has a name, and it's not about ego. It's about energy. The Hermetic law of vibration, known since ancient Egypt and echoed by Hermes Trismegistus, teaches that everything in the universe vibrates. Nothing is still. Nothing is fixed. And true connection only happens when vibrations resonate. Carl Jung recognized this. He said there are meetings that nourish and meetings that deplete. Spiritually gifted people vibrate differently. They feel the room. They sense the microtensions. They may seem at ease, but they're not in sync. And that's why you can feel out of place even at home, even among friends, even when loved. Because it's not about affection, it's about alignment. And when the energy doesn't match, your body knows before your mind does. Some call it energetic sensitivity. Others call it spiritual awareness. Whatever the name, the more awake you become, the more you feel this quiet misalignment between who you are and what surrounds you. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful or lonely. It means you need truth to feel present. Number 10 is this: spontaneous confessions. Even when they never ask a single question. You've seen it happen. A conversation barely begins, and suddenly, someone is sharing things they've never told anyone. Old wounds, family secrets, deep doubts. Sometimes it's a close friend, sometimes a complete stranger. And all it takes is your silent presence, and something opens. It's not charisma. It's not curiosity. It's energy. Spiritually gifted people carry a field that doesn't judge, doesn't invade. It simply holds space. Even in silence, you transmit listening. Your presence relaxes the nervous system, softens the guard, and people feel safe enough to drop the armor, to finally be real. It's as if something in you silently says, "I can hold this. Go ahead." Jung understood this deeply. He said a true therapist isn't the one who gives advice, but the one who can carry the weight of another's unconscious without trying to fix it. That's the quiet power sensitive people have. They become symbolic mirrors. ... And when others see themselves in your presence, they begin to heal. Not through advice, but by finally giving voice to what's been trapped for years. It's beautiful, but it's heavy. Because by the end of the day, you've carried emotions that weren't yours. You held space for pain others couldn't handle. And even without saying much, you gave more than most ever do with 1,000 words. Being that kind of presence is a gift, but it's also a responsibility, because often you're the only space where someone finally feels allowed to be human. The next thing spiritually gifted people experience is a very specific kind of loneliness. Feeling isolated, even when surrounded by people. It's not about being alone. It's about not feeling together. You could be at a party, a family dinner, even in a stable relationship, and still feel out of sync. Like you're watching life through glass. Present, but not truly. This loneliness doesn't come from lack of love. It comes from lack of depth, from the exhaustion of trying to fit in, from the ache of feeling too much in a world that feels too little, from the quiet awareness that most people aren't truly present. They're just filling space, avoiding silence. Jung said the journey to becoming your true self begins with a separation from the crowd, the masks, the noise. The call of the self often begins with a void, a quiet rupture between the life you're living and the life you're meant to live. Spiritually gifted people feel that sooner. What once made sense no longer does. Small talk feels heavy. Shallow bonds don't hold. Being surrounded without real connection makes you lonelier than solitude ever could. But this loneliness, it's not rejection, it's transition. It marks a shift from needing to belong to aligning with your truth, even if that means walking alone for a while. It's not easy, but it's real, and it's the first step back home. Not the home made of bricks, but the one inside you, the one you've been trying to remember. Another thing spiritually gifted people experience, when they speak truth, it shakes people. Doesn't matter how you say it, gently, kindly, carefully. The moment the truth leaves your mouth, the energy changes. People tense up. The air gets heavy. You're suddenly too intense, too negative, too much. But you know, it wasn't the tone. It was the truth. Spiritually sensitive people feel what's off, and when they speak, it's not to attack. It's to name what's been avoided. To touch the silence no one wants to break. To acknowledge what everyone pretends not to see. Jung said that diving into the unconscious activates the collective shadow, all the things society tries to hide. And when you mirror that shadow, even unintentionally, you become a threat, because your presence reminds others of what they're trying to forget. That's why you've been rejected for stating the obvious, labeled difficult for trying to heal what's clearly broken, misunderstood for simply being honest. The world is so used to half-truths and polite silence that someone aligned with the real becomes unbearable. Today, speaking truth is a spiritual act, because it's not just about words, it's about vibration. It's about waking up the part of someone that still feels, even if they pretend not to. And finally, the last thing spiritually gifted people experience is this a constant ache for something sacred. Something you can't name, but you feel it like a living absence. Since early on, you've felt like you're searching for a place you've never seen, but somehow remember. For a presence you've never met, but deeply miss. A homesickness that doesn't belong to this life, but touches everything you seek. Sometimes it comes in the night. Sometimes in nature, sometimes in moments of deep, unexplainable ache. And you realize, ordinary life doesn't satisfy. The routines don't fill you. The noise doesn't reach you. Because what you're missing isn't outside. It's above, or maybe within. Jung said the deepest symbol of the unconscious is the self, the total image of the soul, and that even without knowing, we are all trying to return to it, to wholeness. That's the real spiritual journey. Back to center, back to who you were, before you forgot who you are. Spiritually gifted people feel that call more intensely. They don't want distraction. They want return. And yes, it often hurts, because the modern world keeps trying to fill the sacred with noise. But that ache you carry, it's not failure. It's a signal. It's the self calling. It's the memory of what you once were. and what you're becoming again. Maybe you came here expecting 1 or 2 signs, but if you recognized yourself in many or all, know this: it's not coincidence, it's a path. All of these experiences are signals that something in you is awake in a world still sleeping. And yes, it can feel lonely, but it's also preparation. Jung said those closest to the invisible often carry the deepest visible wounds, because the healing you bring to the world is the same healing you had to earn alone. And as heavy as that might feel, it's also your compass. Because when you understand what's happening inside you, you begin to understand what's happening around you. You stop absorbing everything and start choosing what stays. So now let me ask you, which of these signs spoke to you? Drop a comment below, not just for me, but for someone else who's still trying to understand what they're feeling. Sometimes your truth sets someone else free. And if you're wondering, now what? What do I do with all this? The first step you've already taken. You've recognized the signs, but the real power begins when you act with awareness. You can keep trying to fit into a world running on autopilot, or you can use your sensitivity as a compass to align your life with what truly resonates. Here are 3 simple practices to help. 1. Choose what nourishes you. Before saying yes to anything, pause, feel. Does it expand you or drain you? If it drains, it's not for you, not anymore. 2. Write what moves through you. Each day, jot down one thing you felt, even if it wasn't yours. This clears your energy field and teaches your soul to return what doesn't belong. 3. Sit in silence. 5 minutes a day. No music, no screens, no agenda. Just you with you. That silence holds answers the noisy world can't give. These practices aren't here to fix you. They're here to remind you. Now you know. And once you know, you choose differently. You're no longer here to absorb everything. You're here to choose, consciously, what stays and what finally gets to leave. Because in the end, sensitivity is just the beginning. Direction? That's up to you. And truth? That's what sets you free. If you made it this far, it means something in you recognized this as true. Maybe not just with your mind, but with your body, with your soul. So leave a comment. My sensitivity is my path. Let it be your reminder, for you and for someone else still searching. And if this video touched you in any way, consider hitting that thank you button. Your support helps keep this message alive and helps others feel what you just felt. Your presence matters. Thank you for feeling with us, and I'll see you in the next video.